Serving their community is who they are because they love where they live. REMAX 3D Real Estate is proud to bring you Heart of Greenville, a video series dedicated to celebrating all the wonderfully great things about Greenville, Texas. On every episode, Dennisha Denney will share Greenville's story through the stories of people who call Greenville home. This is Heart of Greenville.
Hey y'all, I'm Dennisha Denney, your host of Heart of Greenville, and today we're sitting down at the landmark on Lee Street on the 3rd floor at the Landing. And my guest today is Mr. Ben Collins. How are you today, Ben?
I'm doing great.
Thank you so much for agreeing to sit down and talk with me today.
You're welcome.
We've already kind of had so much fun before we hit record, so if we're gonna have to apologize for being giggly because we've already had
we're already in the fun part.
Exactly. So we just talked about that you were recently elected onto city council, but really not elected, right? Because you ran unopposed.
Right. So I joke with everyone that I've been an appointed official before for a lot of years. And I thought, I might try my hand at being an elected official, and I'm still not, kind of, because I was running unopposed.
Right.
Yeah.
So were you expecting to run unopposed?
No. In fact, one of the things you do when you run for office is you file early, so that people know if you run, you're going to run against me.
Right.
I don't know if that worked for me or if there just wasn't anyone interested.
Right. So I've heard both strategies, right? Like you do that so everyone knows you're running, but then you have people who come in like on the 11th hour, like 15 minutes to spare and throw their application in. So.
Yeah, that's always a risk.
Yeah.
That's okay.
So, well, congratulations on
Thank you.
that. I know you have served in our community for many, many, many years. So what are some of those boards that you have served on that you were appointed to?
The first one was planning and zoning. I filled an unexpired term. I don't remember who it was that was there before. And I stayed on planning and zoning for a whole another 2 terms after that. So I was actually there for almost 9 years, I think, before I rolled off.
That's a great board.
It really
I've
is.
served on
You
that board
learn
too.
a lot about what's going on in the community, about the kinds of businesses that you see opening up and those kinds of things. So I really enjoyed that board a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun, and I didn't realize till later when I was serving on it, it's like the second most powerful board, right behind council, obviously being the most powerful board.
There's also a tax board that has a lot of power too. Like they make decisions. Yeah, the TERS board. They make decisions that can't even be reviewed by council. So that's kind of interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. And that's another great board that, man, with all the development going on, they've had a lot to do and a lot of decisions to make on that board too. So you've served on planning and zoning. You also served on substandard structures.
Yes. So when I rolled off of planning and zoning, I served on substandard structures board for a little while.
And what made you want to serve?
Yeah, I was anticipating that question. So I've always felt like if I have the capacity and time and ability to serve, that I kind of owe myself to my community to be available to do that. And it may be the case that you fill out an application for a board or something like that, and they don't ask you, and that's fine too. But I feel like the duty for me as a person who loves this community is to be available to do that.
So who instilled that in you? That's not necessarily something we're born with, per se.
No. So I got that from my dad, really. So my dad is Bob Collins. He lives in Collin County, and he also is running for stuff. He's been on the Collin College board for a lot of years, and he's always been very deeply invested in community, and so I think I learned a lot of that from him.
I remember him from college. I actually had one of his classes at Texas A&M, Commerce. I didn't put that together till later when I was like, oh, wait, I had his dad in college.
Right.
Well, I love that he instilled that into you. Where did it come from for him, you think?
That's a good question. I think a lot of it comes right out of the Bible, and a church environment where we are learning to live out the gospel. And part of that is love for neighbor and love for community. And so this is one way, if you have the gifting, and if you have interest, this is one way that you can show love for your community is by making the time to serve on these kinds of boards.
Right. So what are some of your thought processes? I know you're brand new to council, so you've only had a couple, maybe one meeting or
3.
2?
I've been in 3.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. We're at the end of June, so yes.
Right.
So you've had 3. So what are your takeaways? Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
How's that been?
I've been pretty, I've been involved in the city for a lot of years, and so I've always had, I think, a fairly good grasp of the mechanics of how things work. But I think what becomes really real when you sit on the dais with the rest of the council, although we're in the Fletcher Warren Center right now, so there's no dais. We're
right.
like card tables, basically. But what becomes real when you sit behind the table is the other people that you're working with on council. They become much more real people that you're dealing with. The staff, the city staff, become much more real people because you're working together toward common goals, or you're trying to forge common goals. And it's no longer this sort of impersonal political figure that it's okay to be mad at and to say things to, and especially online, people treat each other online in ways that you wouldn't do in face-to-face interactions.
Right.
And you see that sometimes in politics too, even local politics, where you might direct a certain type of tone to a local official that you wouldn't to another person who is just talking to you.
Right.
But when you're behind the table, it becomes much more real and personal, right? And so you learn to really like and get along with the other people on council, even when you agree or disagree. You have a good time and you try to find common ground and discuss all the things that you have to discuss. So.
Well, I'm so glad you agreed to do that. I mean, I know from just being friends all of these years, you've had a passion for Greenville, and we'll talk a little bit later about all the things you love about Greenville, but you have always had that heart to serve and to give another perspective. So what are some things that I guess you hope to see for Greenville?
Oh man, we have so many opportunities. Greenville is unique in some ways, and we have resources that a lot of places don't. It's easy to be negative about the things that, the potholes really bother me, these kinds of things. And it's true that we have problems that we need to work on and fix, but we have so many opportunities in front of us, and we have a lot of resources that are unique. We have, we're on an interstate, we have railroads, we have an airport, we have lake resources nearby, we're very close to a large urban center. We have space geographically. And so in many ways, it's very advantageous for enterprises to come to Greenville. They can find a workforce in a lot of cases, and when they can't, we're close enough to the population centers that it's not that big a deal for them. And real estate is not quite as hard to get here as it is maybe in some of the more dense places. But without being so far away that it's inconvenient,
right? I know, just being an hour away, if you work in downtown Dallas, it makes this ideal, and our price point. Yeah,
exactly. And Greenville has a lot of quality of life advantages as well. So if you're an employee of a company, you would come here and be able to find the kind of lifestyle that you can't find everywhere.
Right. We do have a lot to offer.
Right.
And, when I got into real estate 22 years ago, it was not like this. We did not have the sports complex, the Splash Kingdom, the splash pad, and all those
It wasn't too many years ago that I remember you and some of the other real estate agents posting on Facebook begging for people to list their houses.
True. Yes. Oh, I know. Well, like right now, it's like, okay, if you're even slightly thinking about selling your home, let us know.
Right.
Because we can get you whatever price you want. We can probably sell it for more because it's such a crazy market. But to be honest, coming from Dallas to Greenville, if you need to be in that 200 to 250 range, you almost have to come to Greenville to get it. And so, and just you get more home for your money here, and so it's a great value. So it has brought a lot of people here, and we have new construction going on, and that's helped a lot.
Also, something that's happened in the last 10 years or so, Greenville has sort of become like a little regional center for the arts and performances and the kind of things that are quality of life that don't have anything to do with industry and economics. It's just people creating and doing beautiful things. And that's a draw to the region around us, and I think that's really great.
It really is, and the music. And we've brought music to downtown, and we've brought that piece as well. And so they're pretty much. I was noticing on the calendar, like through the summer, there's something going on almost every weekend. So there's always something to go to or somewhere to go. And
one of the briefings that we got during the work session last night. So for people who don't follow. The council has a regular session that starts at 6, and that's when we do the city's business. But before that, we have what's called a work session, and normally what will happen is someone from city staff will come give a short presentation about things that are going on in their department in the city, especially when we're prepping for a budget. We'll have those kinds of presentations. And so last night, Kevin Banks came and was talking about tourism and the GMA, and it's incredible what's going on there. The business at the GMA is already higher than it was in 2019 before COVID, and we're booked well into next year. for
That's
performances
wonderful.
and events happening at the GMA.
He's doing a great job.
He really is.
With that. He came on our show a few weeks ago, and he's doing a fantastic job.
Yeah.
So you'll have to go back and listen to that episode because he has Disney experience. And so I was like, wait a minute, we have Disney talent in Greenville, Texas. This explains why we're raising the
Kevin's
bar.
really great, and his attitude about things is contagious, and it's just so positive.
Right.
The things that are happening there.
Right. So is there something when you got on a council, you're like, I hope to see this change, or I really want to add this value or something like that?
Right. So one of the things that's really important to me is to try and take advantage of the opportunities that are coming our way as a community. So one of the big shifts in industry right now is remote work, for example. COVID kind of forced the issue, but it was coming anyway.
True.
More and more people were starting to realize, hey, I can do my job at a desk of my choosing, be it at home or a place like this at the Landmark, and I don't have to be in some headquarters building in Dallas. So not only is that great for the environment because you take a car off the road, it's great for congestion on the roads, not to mention wear and tear on vehicles, and it's just a much more economical way to work if your job is can be done that way. And so COVID forced the issue, and so now there are millions of people working like this that weren't before, and they are flooding into these secondary markets, which is part of the reason why you see the housing market like it is now, right? People realize I don't have to be in Dallas, I can go anywhere, and they're choosing Greenville, which is great.
Yes.
It's a great vote of confidence for our community, but houses are now in demand.
Yes, high demand.
High demand. But one of the things that we can do is try to prepare for that wave of the future.
Right.
It's one of the ways of the future anyway. And we can do things like enhance our local networks, right? We can enhance our utilities capabilities. And we can do things to increase quality of life in Greenville to make people want to come here. So I think there's a lot of things we can do. For companies as well, we can pitch that to them as also to say, hey, this is a great place for you to locate because you don't have to have a huge skyrise in Dallas. You can be here. It's not hard for people to get your headquarters. It's not far from the major regional airports. And you don't have to put up with the Dallas.
Right.
You know? So I think that's one angle. I think there are other things that are going on too, but that's the one that I thought of the most when I was running.
When you were running.
Yeah.
Well, again, I'm so glad you're there.
Thanks.
Okay, I'm going to share you with this one thing because I thought I need to go to Citizens to be Heard at City Council where you can just go and just talk about anything. And we're going to talk about this last thing about business, and then we're going to talk about your family.
Okay.
So one of the things, and you and I love to talk real estate. So
Yes, absolutely.
We always tend to get onto that topic.
Yeah.
But one of the things I have seen shift in Greenville is we've put several homes on the market that were over 500,000,
Okay.
700,000, 800,000. They sold within days.
Right.
Multiple offers, cash offers.
That used to never happen.
It used to never happen.
$750,000 house would sit for months and months.
Exactly.
Right.
And we've been saying for years, we need that move up home. We need that more custom executive home. So I'm putting the bug in your ear. If you have developers coming and the conversation comes up about that move up buyer that really wants to be, 400 plus, we do have a market for that in Greenville. And that's part of that shift.
Right.
Of where we're going. So I just want to share that.
Okay.
I had to plug that in with you since I had a captured audience.
Right.
Okay, let's talk about your precious family.
Okay.
So your wife, Miss Angela Money Collins.
That's
Tell
right.
us first how you guys met.
We met early days in 7th grade.
Oh, wow. Yes.
So I saw her getting something out of her locker one day, and I thought, she's pretty cute. I'm going to hang around,
Now, were you on the same class?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, and y'all both went to Greenville Christian.
That's right.
Right? Okay.
We both graduated Greenville Christian School in 1998.
I really should actually ask Angela because I've heard this story and she tells it a really cute way. But let's let you tell it. So
let me tell my side.
So you can tell your side on this
Right.
show.
So the way that we met was at school, and we became school friends, all those years. But we didn't. There was the romantic interest was one way. We'll put it that way.
One direction.
It was one direction of romantic interest, and we didn't date at all until after we graduated. And I think part of that was just it took me a little bit longer time to become more adult-like.
Right. Were you too immature?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm at a safe distance now from that, I hope, to be able to say without any loss of dignity.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, I was definitely too immature for her. And we had to wait until I caught up with things a little bit. And then we graduated, and what happened was I thought, the worst thing that can happen is if I ask her out, she says no, and then I'm going to go to a college where there's like 50,000 women. So I'm going to take a shot at it and see what happens. And she said yes. So
that's so funny.
Here we are.
And here you are. I know. It's funny when she talks about it, she's like, I wasn't going to date him.
That's right.
We were classmates. And
that's right.
So, and it's funny to hear say, she's like, I wasn't supposed to be married to Ben Collins.
Nope.
Well, and then now you guys have built a precious family. So
yes.
talk about your journey. I mean, you got married so young.
We did. We got married at 22 while I was in graduate. I was actually still an undergraduate. I had one semester left. So I finished that and then did grad school. And then we started having children. So we started to build our family.
And you have built it too.
We have built it. We will have number 8 coming in December.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I'm so excited for you guys. I thought you were done at 6, and then we hit 7,
and then
now
7,
I just learned today that
8.
we're going for 8.
That's right.
But you have I love your nice van. You know, you've got it all
let me
set
tell
up
you,
perfectly.
I would have bought the van years ago if I had realized how great it is.
Yeah, I'm sure it's so easy to get everybody to and from.
Most of the
wherever they need
kids,
to be.
everyone except myself and my son, can stand up in the van.
Oh, wow.
It's got a little bit of extra headroom, and then the big sliding door, and so it just makes it so much easier to get in and out. And it's a commercial platform van. It doesn't have a lot of fancy like electronic features, or there's no carpet. Very plain, but that's great for kids. There's not much for them to tear up.
That's
The
true.
wear and tear isn't as much of an issue when the floor of the van is vinyl, which is just fantastic.
And Angela stays home.
Yes,
with the kids,
she's
and
a
you
she's a
work from
homemaker.
home. Yes, and an amazing one at that.
Yes.
Y'all have raised amazing kids.
Sometimes people ask me if does your wife work, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Of course she works.
24/7.
Right, she works more than I do.
Never gets
That's
a
right.
break.
No.
I know. In fact, I've got a text from Emily for the theater event that she
Oh,
has going on.
yeah. Don't let me forget. We got to talk about that
Yes,
later.
Yes, happy to support. I just need to tell her which category. But
Right.
no, you guys have done a great job with that. I always
Thank
love
you.
supporting their mission trips or church
Right.
camps or whatever it is that they're doing. But you guys are doing a great job. But
Thank
you're
you.
basically a single income family
Yes.
because you bring in the income for
Yes.
the family.
Yeah, that's
What is
true.
it like? I mean, now you are going to have 8 children plus
Right.
yourselves. What is that like to be the single sole breadwinner financially?
I feel like it's something that I'm responsible for to my family, because I think the way that God designed families to work would be for men to provide for their families, and then for women to be able to focus on their children and the home. And I know that that's something Angela wants to be able to do, and so for me, it's a responsibility to provide that for her. I know that not everyone can do that, but for us, and I felt like I could do that, it's absolutely something we wanted to do.
And tell us what you do.
So I'm a software engineer. I have been since 2005 when I got out of school.
And where did you graduate from?
Texas A&M.
Okay. I'm like, come on, you got to get that in
That's
there,
right.
Ben.
Class of 02 and then 05. And then when I finished school, I went to L3, Integrated Systems at the time, and worked there for a few years. And then I started chasing startups after that. And some were great, some were not. I was at a couple of places that went both ways.
That's the joy.
A couple that went one way, a couple that went another way. And now I'm at a place called Olo, and that's based in New York City. And what we do is we build integrations for restaurants so that when you place an order with Chili's or a Subway, there's a real good chance that order is flowing through the platform that we build.
Okay. So, is that just the technology that the employees use to plug in your order? Like, what
Well,
part of
the
that
restaurant
process?
employees wouldn't even notice it for the most part.
Okay.
The restaurant manager would know about it
Okay.
and would be using it. But in most cases, what would happen is you place your order online, and then that order shows up in their kitchen management system like any other order.
Okay.
And so that's why we say we build integrations. As opposed to setting a tablet on your counter.
Right.
So the restaurant uses whatever POS system they have, and POS stands for point of sale. That's the cashier and the kitchen management system and all those things. So our platform will inject an order right into that system just like any other order, and employees will process it just like any other order.
Okay.
And then there are different delivery modes, so you can pick it up, you can have it delivered. If you're using someone like DoorDash or Google or Postmates, Uber, these kinds of companies, if that's available in your area, we support that as well.
So are you designing it? Do you design that platform? What is your role?
My role is actually in building those third-party partnership integrations.
Okay.
And so that's the part I know the most about, which is why I bring it up. But yeah, I help design pieces of the platform. I don't design the whole thing. It's too big for one person. But I will design certain features, and I get involved in different areas of the platform.
Now, I love your house on Park Street.
Thank you.
You live kind of catty-cornered to Kavanaugh?
To Kavanaugh,
Methodist
yeah.
Church there. And so do you work out in the shop in the back? Or do you have an office in the house?
I have an accessory building in the backyard,
Okay.
and that's my office.
Okay. Yeah. I remember I got to come see your house when you guys bought it, and so you were like, "This is where I'm going to be working, and what I'm going to do."
There was an accessory building that the previous owner had used, I think, as a workout room. They had a treadmill and some things in there, so we cleaned that out, and I set up my desk in there.
So, do you have rules for the kids? Do they know when they can come in, when they can't come in?
Used to at a previous place, I had a toy stop sign that I would put out in front of the door. So like if I was on a meeting or something, I would put the stop sign out, and then we would teach them, if the stop sign's out, you can't come knock on the door. The kids are older now, most of them, and so they kind of know, and they're not coming out there that much anyway. The little ones sometimes still trickle out,
Right.
but that's okay.
But it's okay now.
It's okay now, yeah.
Well, I think it's a little more acceptable. I was on the phone with someone that I didn't even, like a service type call. And he's like, "I'm so sorry, my kids are coming to the door." I
Right.
think we're in a different environment now.
We really are. And most people understand, like, hey, your kid walks in your office, it's no big deal.
Right.
A lot of my coworkers, if their kids, most people, well, I don't know about most people, but some people work in their homes. So they'll have a desk set up in a bedroom or something.
Right.
Well, that's the house. The kid's going to walk in.
Right.
A lot of my coworkers will just set the kid on their knee and we'll finish the meeting.
Right.
The kids get bored and they wander off
And
anyway.
they move on anyway. Yeah.
Right.
But I love that element. We can actually spend more time with our kids.
Yes.
Because of that.
Yes.
And so I actually think it's a really cool
Oh,
element
it's
now.
amazing. So one of the things that's happened in our society, in the West especially, is industrialization. So this has been going on for a long time, all the way to the turn of the last century.
Right.
And before that, homes were the centers of productivity, right? So fathers worked in the home or around, right outside the home, and mothers worked in the home, and the children learned how to work with them in their homes, right? That's how trades were established and passed down from generation to generation. And then we entered into this phase of industrialization where fathers in particular, but also sometimes mothers, would have to leave the home to go do productive work for someone else somewhere else. And that has a lot of repercussions for our society and how families work.
Right.
And one of the things I really, really love about working remotely is you start to recapture some of that sense of making your home a center of productivity. So I work at home, which means my kids get to see me working. They get to learn a work ethic from that, including, I'm working at a desk, so I'm just sitting most of the day, but they understand he's focusing. He's spending his time in the service of some good that he's trying to produce, right? And so they learn from that. Our home, we also homeschool our kids, and so, of course, Angela's a very productive person, so they learn a lot from her as well. And then they also are doing their own productive endeavors through homeschool. And so we get to be together as a family doing productive things in our home, which is so, so great. I could go on and on about that, but I think remote work is really great, and it's a way of taking things that we've built in our modern age and using it to restore some of what was lost.
Right. Yeah, it is almost like we got to step back and
Right.
regain some of the things that we had lost
Right.
in our society. So
Right.
I do think some really cool things came out of COVID. You
Right.
guys already were living in that world.
That's
and
right, yeah.
Y'all set that foundation. Where do you think that foundation came from? Establishing your family that way. Was it from your roots, from being at the Christian school and in church and with your families? Or how did you guys know when you and Angela started, this is what we want for our family?
Yeah, so I remember, of course, we both have great families. I love my parents dearly, and they set really great example for me for what it means to commit to a woman as your wife, and vice versa, and build your family around that commitment. So my parents were a great model for that. Angela's parents were a great model for that. And Angela's family in particular has a lot of really extended family around. So anybody in Greenville probably knows somebody from the
Yes,
Money family.
exactly.
Or they're related to them.
Yes.
If you don't know them or related, then you just moved here.
Right. Exactly.
So when we were dating and becoming friends in high school, that just really made an impact on me. And I thought, I really want my family to be rooted like that, where when my children are grown, they want to stay and build on the foundations that are laid, instead of sort of engaging in wanderlust and winding up wherever, and and then preventing themselves from really taking root.
Right.
That's how communities are built, is when people take root. And so one of the things I love about remote work is that it allows people to root.
That's true. And in a way they never have
in
before.
a way that they have not been able to before.
No, not at all. Okay, we're on Heart of Greenville. And I know we talked a lot about Greenville and kind of the goals with council and just different things like that. But I want to talk about what you really love about Greenville. So what do you, as Ben Collins, love about Greenville, Texas?
I love the small town feel where you feel like everybody knows everybody. Now, we're too big for that to actually really be true.
Right.
Census numbers haven't come out yet, but we're probably 30,000 or so, I would guess.
That's what I'm hearing, too, is we're going to be close to that.
Yeah. So clearly you can't know 30,000 people. That's impossible. But you know people who have been here for a long time, and families are very connected. And so within 1 or 2 degrees of separation, you probably do know everybody.
It's true.
And there's a lot of shared history and a lot of shared memories. And so you may be driving down Wesley Street and you say, oh, I remember when that used to be the Royal, right?
Yes.
And there are even people now who remember before it was the Royal.
Right. What was it before the Royal?
Yeah, okay, so this was an argument I used to get into with my father-in-law and other people that had been here a lot longer. I could have sworn on a Bible that was an old Dairy Queen.
Like, it was Herschel's, right?
I don't know what it was before. I haven't been there. I'm not that old, Dennisha. Come on.
Okay, well, we're about the same age.
Right.
But you think it was a Dairy Queen before it was the Royal?
I used to think, because it looks just like
a Dairy Queen.
An old Dairy Queen, right? So, so if you go into Farmersville on 380, I grew up in Farmersville, and that's a thing we didn't really touch on, but the Dairy Queen in Farmersville, right there on 380, didn't get a remodel until recently. It was, in fact, I think they didn't remodel until somebody from Greenville ran a fire truck into it.
Oh, the fire truck. Yes.
Yeah.
We just helped them out with that.
So we thought, come on, guys, you are holding things up here. It's time. Right. So just hit it with the fire truck. Anyway, so they finally remodeled. But before that, the Dairy Queen in Farmersville looked 100% exactly the same as the Royal.
Yes.
And so I just was so sure that the Royal used to be a Dairy Queen, and they bought the building and they turned it into the Royal. And even the inside, the kitchen, the layout is all the same. The menu was the same. So I was just so convinced, and I was wrong.
But the chocolate shakes were not the same, because they were amazing.
I didn't get the chocolate shakes.
Well, just trust me.
I went for breakfast most times.
Okay.
Anyway, but it turned out I was wrong. It's always been the Royal. I think
so that's what it was established
I think it was built to be the Royal, as far as I can
is going to see this,
find out.
And they're going to tell us.
Yes, they may tell us.
If we were right or wrong.
Right.
If it was or not.
I used to meet friends there for breakfast, so it was a great place. But I just was so sure it was a Dairy Queen.
But the irony of that is that's where the Dairy Queen is now.
Correct. Yeah. Now and then it became the Dairy Queen, except the remodeled looking.
The whole new remodeled.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Dairy Queen.
Exactly. So anyway, but I love stuff like that where you can get to know the history of a town from the people you know.
Yes.
You don't have to go down to the archives and do all this research to just find out these great little stories.
I know.
Anyway,
it's really cool, and we are dating ourselves with that. So I was telling someone today, I was driving to Cracker Barrel this morning, and I was on Wesley Street headed north. I was coming from the southern part of town, and I was looking at how wide the whole overpass is over 30.
Right.
And it used to literally be a
two lanes.
two-lane bridge.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now it's so wide, and it's funny that was on my mind this
morning. I was so excited about having the little U-turn turnarounds.
Yes, the little
where you didn't have to
go
through the lights to go all the way around the bridge.
Yes, that was brilliant. I don't know who created that, but for traffic flow, brilliant.
Right.
So, yes. Okay, so what are some other things that you love? Like, what are some activities maybe you go to with your kids?
Oh, man, I'm such a homebody.
No, but there's some things that happen in your neighborhood I bet you enjoy.
We do. Well, we love to walk, of course, my family. We used to take the kids out with the wagon, and it was this whole production, just going down the sidewalk.
Right. You had drone parade.
That's right, a little bit. Yeah, and the kids loved it, especially when they were littler. But one of my daughters, Emily, is really heavily invested in Greenville Family Theater. She has a role in the Newsies play that's going to be going on in July. My son has been involved in robotics a couple of seasons. He's not doing that right now, but that's something we've done in the past. And, of course, we did, Little League sports, go out to the sports complex and sit there with the other parents wondering why we're in the sun like that.
Right.
And
yes.
But getting great pictures of our kids being
Exactly.
silly and, not learning the game. And
Right. Giving them the experience.
That's right. One of my favorite photos from those years is my oldest two are twins. And so when they were playing Little League, we got a great picture of them just bent over on their knees, just looking at each other instead of playing the game.
They're not even playing the game.
No, they're not playing the game, but it was great. It was a
That's
cute little
funny.
picture.
Now, you only have one boy, right?
Yes,
Out
one
of
boy.
all
So
of-
I started with twins, girl-boy twins. You wouldn't believe how many people would come to us and say, "Oh, so you're done, right?"
Yeah, I know, right?
No.
No.
No, we're
Nope.
not.
Nope.
But then it was all girls after that.
Yes. But we'll see what number 8 is.
We'll
Do
see.
you know?
We're going to find out on Friday.
On Friday. Oh, so we're going to know by the time this airs. We'll know
Yes,
what
we'll
you're
know.
having. Oh, I can't wait. Do you have a preference?
I do hope it's a boy, just to kind of balance things out a little bit, but I will
Right.
be thrilled with either way.
Either way.
Yeah.
Either way.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so excited for you guys. What about the Park Street parades? Do you enjoy doing
Oh, yeah,
participating
absolutely.
on
I'm
that?
sorry. Yeah, I should have mentioned that.
I was leading you to that, Ben.
Okay.
And you just didn't take
I'm sorry,
it,
I didn't
so-
pick it up. A little slow.
that's okay.
So my kids always are super excited about, decorating their bicycles, and they're going to ride in the parade. Or one year, my oldest daughter made some stilts and tried to
Oh.
walk the parade in the stilts.
How did that work out? Did she
didn't.
make it?
It didn't work out. She and a cousin had this great idea, and they made these stilts and decorated them, and they were going to walk in these. And they couldn't keep up with the parade.
Yeah, I can't
And so
imagine.
they went a block or two, and that was about all they could do.
Bless their heart. But
Poor
I
little
mean,
girls.
that's a great idea to go and try to do that.
They were
I'm
so
glad
creative. They were so creative and excited about it, and it just didn't work physically.
Right. Yeah, just didn't work out.
Yeah.
I love that parade.
Yeah.
The 4th of July Park Street
Yeah,
parade.
yeah.
It's just, that gives that true sense of hometown.
Yes.
It's kind of like where the 30,000 people become one.
That's right.
And we get small. And I love that.
That's true. And when we're walking the parade, what's so great is you see people there in the parade that you don't see all the time.
Right.
And so you go walk with them, and you get to catch up and have that conversation. And, it's a long parade. It's like a mile and a half. So
It is.
Or not quite that long, but.
It is a long parade, but
Yeah.
it's a great parade.
Yep.
It's such a fun,
Yeah,
festive.
and you get to know the people in your community too, like your neighborhood.
Yes.
So the Park Street Historical Society, the people in that neighborhood there help organize the parade, or they help staff it, volunteer for it. So you get to know those people as well. Anyway, just a
Well,
great
that's really
small town
cool.
event.
It is. It is.
Yep.
Okay, I told you at the beginning I was going to ask you a random question at the end.
Oh, are we at the end?
We are at the end.
Holy smokes, that was
Yes,
fast.
I know. It goes so fast. Okay, I want you to pick a number between 1 and 20, and that's going to be your random final question.
21. That was my number in high school.
Well,
Football.
I said, well.
No, 1 to 20. Sorry.
I can make up
Seven.
a question.
Seven.
I can
No,
make
no,
up a
no.
question.
7.
7.
Yeah.
Okay. I told you this is a random question.
Yeah,
okay.
random.
So number 7, if you could have a superpower, what would you choose?
Oh, what's funny is I have this conversation with my kids all the time. So my kids are all at the age where they're like, Dad, what's your favorite book? Or what's your favorite character from Marvel movies? Or, they want to know what my favorite of whatever is. So we've
Right.
had this conversation
Okay,
before.
so you're prepared.
Yeah, I am. So instant teleportation, that's what I would choose.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
That would be super cool.
Yep.
Is there a superhero that has that?
Yeah, Nightcrawler is one of the Marvel characters.
Okay.
No, X-Men. He was one of the X-Men, Nightcrawler.
Okay.
He could teleport, and there are a number of other characters from various universes
Right.
that can do that.
That can
but-
teleport.
Yeah.
That
I
would
mean,
be cool.
the cliche answer, of course, is like, oh, I'll be Superman. I'll just have all these powers.
But
Right.
I've asked that question, and I actually don't get Superman. I'm surprised by
Right.
it. Like, I mean, I've had all kinds of random
Right.
answers, but somebody
Right.
wanted to read people's minds,
Right.
and, so
I mean,
there's
I think
no limits on it. There's
I,
no wrong answer.
I think the real answer is, of course, everyone would be Superman.
Yeah,
But
well-
aside from that,
the second choice. This
Right,
is true.
second
We would
choice.
all be Superman.
yeah, that's
Or
right.
Wonder Woman
Or
if you're a
Wonder Woman,
girl.
yeah. Anyway. But teleportation would be great because
That
that
would be really cool.
fit into a lot of the things I already want to do.
Right. Yeah, especially with your startups.
Right.
I think you would really love to go to the future, see how that's going to work out
Right.
for you.
Or, hey, let's go on vacation. I'll just pop over to Florida real quick.
Right. Well, so you have to have the ability to take people with you.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. I have to be able to do
So
that. Yeah.
you're going to need to add
obviously.
that to the list.
Right.
Well, Ben, I've had such a great time catching up with you.
Me too.
And getting to tell your story and people getting to see the other side of you. It's like what you said. When you see people in political positions, you only see them in that political position.
Right.
And you forget that they're human and that they have families and that they have a heart. And so I think when people get to know your story and they get to hear who you are, it helps them see you as a person. And so thank you so much for opening up and sharing your story with us. And good luck to you on council. Stay strong, stay the course, stay in the fight. And thank you for sitting down with me today.
Okay, you're absolutely welcome. It's good to see you.
Ben.
Thank you for watching Heart of Greenville. This video series, which is designed to celebrate Greenville, Texas, is spearheaded by REMAX 3D Real Estate.